Good morning.
Hey, what's up good people, I'm YellowMotion and welcome to my review for Marvel's Spider-Man. Over the past years, we've seen many Spider-Man games come and go, and some did leave a footprint, while most of them were really not that memorable and pretty much forgettable. But that all changed when Insomniac Games is making a Spider-Man game, as the studio was set on a passionate mission to make the best Spider-Man game ever seen and made. So did the team at Insomniac really accomplish that mission? Well, let's see what I have to say about it. The very first thing you'll immediately do is start web-slinging across Manhattan, as you'll immediately start to see and feel just how great, fun and immensely satisfying it is to just swing across the buildings and streets of Manhattan and enjoy the ride. You can also wall run across the buildings and jump from one building to the other without losing your speed and momentum. Now at first, like myself, you'll have to get used to the web slinging, as you're just learning the ropes and pretty much feel like a noob Spider-Man. But trust me, over time it just starts to feel so natural, and everything will go automatically without you even thinking of it. Especially as you progress, you will sling your way through the streets of New York. The web slinging feels so damn satisfying. It's very fun and never gets tired or boring, as it was just a joy just to web sling my way across the city to arrive on the next destination. It's literally one of the best parts of this game and a vital part and characteristic of Spider-Man. And my favorite thing to do is just climb up the highest building and just start to free fall and dive. And just before landing, swing your way through the streets. So the web sling is a major part of Spider-Man, and it's really done well, but how does the combat feel like? Well, just like traversal, the combat also feels damn satisfying. With Spidey, you want to take the fights above the ground, with great moves up his arsenal, by punch launching your opponent into the air and use your kicks, punches and web shooters well to your advantage, as you'll really get that advantage when you're high up in the ground, instead of always being there standing and waiting for the enemies to come after you and land the first hit. You can also instantly move to the next opponent by simply web striking them, where Spidey webs and fly punches right into them. And your environment is also your best friend and your playground, as you can use that to your advantage and use it against your opponents. Besides that, you also have new moves and upgrades at your disposal, so that combat will be even more fun and easier, as you can grab and launch rockets to your opponents, swing kick your way through shielded opponents, do an instant takedown if you perform a perfect dodge, and much more. Spider-Man is a very leany and acrobatic fighter. He has his spider sense to his disposal, and you can react super fast and dodge incoming attacks and dangers when he's surrounded by a swarm of enemies. Let alone you have your web shooters, so make full use of that. And yes, just like web slinging, you will need some practice, as when fights are starting, there is no time to really think and sit still, as fights will be hectic with a bunch of enemies always attacking and shooting you from every spot. So it will take some time at the beginning, but as you start to unlock more skills and movesets for combat, you will truly understand and make better use of everything to your advantage. But it's not that hard at all, and you'll adapt very quickly to pick up as you're progressing through the game. Stealth is also part of your gameplay. You can silently web take down enemies, or even do a web strike takedown, as long as nobody is noticing it.
Nap time!
It also helps to sometimes lure somebody by making noise with your web shooters. That way you can separate a group and take down individuals. It adds another layer of gameplay and depth to Spidey. When you're in combat, you will build up your focus meter, and with the focus you can do a combo finisher where you get to see a nice, dynamic and epic cinematic view on how Spidey is taking down the opponent, as it smoothly transitions into it and gives you this great look at Spidey's special moves. The focus meter can also be used to give you the ability to heal yourself, and when you are low on health you just need to press the down button and it will use that build up focus to heal yourself. So this is a major key gameplay element, as it makes sure you'll still up in the game and won't die, as there is no health packs or anything like that in the game. Completing missions, activities and fighting will grant you XP. With those skill points, you can upgrade Spider-Man for traversal, fighting and defense with new abilities. You can also develop and upgrade Spidey's gadgets, which is something really Insomniac has put a lot of love and effort into the gadgets. Some of them are really good and very welcomed. Then again, I wasn't like I was fully upgrading everything, and it was pretty much only upgrading my regular web shooters. What's also really awesome is that you get to unlock various Spider-Man suits for yourself. There are over 25 of them, and they aren't just there for show, as each suit has its own unique special power. Some of the powers are like granting you the ability of a temporary shield, being temporarily bulletproof, and my favorite one was the Web Blossom for sure, where Spidey leaps into the air and webs everything in sight. And the best thing about it is that you can pretty much use these abilities with each suit that you have unlocked. So the game really gives you the opportunity to use your favorite suit with any special power-ups without any restrictions. Besides that, you also have the suit mods, where you can enable 3 abilities that will power you up. For example, reducing incoming melee or bullet damage, increased damage when health is low, or giving you much more XP after a fight, and much more. The city also really feels alive with the crowd that is there. If you swing by, you can't notice it, of course, but if you just drop and walk around, you can see that people will start to recognize you and want to interact with you as well, which is really nice, which gives New York and Manhattan itself a great character as the whole city is alive.
Put it there! I love this guy!
The graphics of the game look absolutely stunning, with a great and accurate portrayal of New York and Manhattan itself. And its lively ambience, everything is just so good looking. And you'll get to see that even better when you're in photo mode and start to look at Spidey, where you can see just how detailed he is. But the graphics really come to shine when you're seeing the in-game cutscenes, as it's been really portrayed well with some great facial animations and performances. As the in-game cutscenes are of high fidelity, and during certain parts of the game I was really having the feeling as if I was watching a CG movie. It's clearly noticeable that Insomniac Games has put a lot of passion and attention to detail in making this game even better, and that's very much appreciated. And with the web slinging, they made sure that the webs were really attached to the buildings, even though you may think there's cheating going on, but they are really attached. Even if you are in Central Park and you start web sling, you can really see that it's really attached to the trees. And during free roam, you will hear various random activities that you optionally can participate in. For example, chasing some bad guys and helping the police out, helping people out in an accident, or stopping drug deals from happening, and much more. There is a great variation to what it has to offer, although I have to say that sometimes these type of optional missions pop up too frequently, where things can get a little bit more repetitive. But the good thing is you're not forced to do them at all, and you can totally ignore them. You also have many side missions and objectives scattered across Manhattan. These are mainly category based, like doing combat, stealth and bomb challenges, taking landmark pictures, or doing Harry Osborn's various lab quests. You can also just have a good time and do all of these quests and activities once you completed the main game, as I pretty much did that. The game also has some minigame puzzles, which mostly relies on doing some lab activities and matching certain patterns. Now these puzzles are also in the main game, but quite honestly, while at first these are fun to do, they become a little bit repetitive for a while. At least for me, as after a few times, things start to get a little bit boring, and sometimes it even disturbs the pacing during the main missions. I mean, I do understand that these give more depth to Peter as a character, but it's a good thing you can skip them. So we talked about web slinging, the combat, gadgets and power-ups, but how's the story of the game? Spider-Man tells a great original unique story using the lore and its characters. It's something new and refreshing while respecting the DNA of what's already been established by Marvel and its comics, cartoon and movies. Spider-Man is telling a story of a more experienced Peter Parker, where he has been Spider-Man for the past 8 years, now being 23 years old. So there is no origin story told here, although it happened in their universe. So it's a completely brand new story that's told by the vision and a universe created by Insomniac, and how they see Peter Parker as Spider-Man, with many of the familiar characters and villains being there. But sooner or later, things start to get more complicated and more dangerous as the worlds of Peter and Spider-Man start to collide, and it involves the people he loves and cares about the most, like Mary Jane and Aunt May. What the game also really does well is not only portray Spider-Man as the main highlight, you also get a fair share of gameplay and screen time for Peter Parker himself, which mostly requires you to go to the homeless shelter Feast where Aunt May works, or going to the lab and working on something, as ultimately this is a story about the man behind the mask, and it's Peter's story, and the same goes for the other characters as well, like Mary Jane, and even Miles Morales. During your main quests you obviously play the majority as Spider-Man, but also during the game you'll get to play as Mary Jane, which is something really new and refreshing for a Spider-Man game. As with her, you mostly do stealth missions, where you infiltrate certain areas and need to get some info or take certain photos. This way MJ and Peter work hand in hand with each other, and there are moments where you really need to rely on each other. For me, this was a really refreshing and very welcomed, as it keeps the flow and pacing of the game interesting, as you're not constantly playing as Spider-Man doing the next mission right after you finish the previous one. And these also give you a really good character perspective and development to the side characters, instead of just being there for the sake of being there for the plot. So I really loved it, and I was even more invested into them because of the gameplay moments with them. Just seeing the relationship and chemistry between Mary Jane and Peter is written so well and very relatable. It really felt real, and it's the best couple I've seen in a video game for a long time.
Did you just leave your clothes on the kitchen floor?
Just as the characters, the villains are also portrayed really well here. I don't want to dive too much on them for plot's sake, but let's just say that the writing on them is really great. And a great Spider-Man wouldn't be the same with great memorable boss fights. Although the boss fights are really fun, there is no real challenge in winning them, as pretty much each one of them is having the same pattern on how to beat them with the same strategy, as it involves web-slinging and waiting for the right moment to dodge, so that you can unleash your attacks and do a finisher, and keep repeating that until a cutscene pops up. And the boss fights themselves don't have a life bar as well, which really implies you just go out and have fun with them. It's a fun experience for sure, but certainly not a challenge or a memorable one. Although I have to say that the final boss fight of this game, which I won't spoil of course, is my most favorite one because it had its own very unique take on it as far as interactions and gameplay. And I just would have loved to seen that with every other boss fight as well, instead of just getting that same kind of repetition on how you beat them. It didn't take my joy or fun away at all, for me just to have a lot of great time and fun with it. But just don't expect boss fights where you need to go all out on your spider senses, tricks, gadgets and skills to beat them. It was almost as if I was getting the feeling that Insomniac wanted me as the player to have fun with it instead of giving me a real good challenge. They really focused on telling a good story, for sure, and that last boss fight really signified that. Without diving too much into the plot details, I will tell you this: the story of Spider-Man is simply fantastic. I enjoyed everything from beginning to end, and I was just really amazed at how good the writing was of this game and the dialogue for the characters. The plot starts out kind of predictable, but I can tell you that it gets more complicated and very exciting and very emotional too, as just the writing, narrative and presentation of the game is just so great and fantastic. So not only did I experience a great Spider-Man game and a great original story that's easily one of the best I have seen happening for Spider-Man outside the comics, it also easily rivals to any of the movies I've seen so far, and I've seen them all. So look, if you're a huge Spider-Man or a Marvel fan, there is no question about it. You are already playing this game or have decided to get it. But even if you like comic books or superhero movies, then this is definitely one of those games you'll need to have, and you will have a great time with it for sure. The open world, web-slinging, combat, great story and characters, music, and especially the overall fan service makes this game and Spider-Man really shine. It's something he has always deserved, where in my opinion no movie or game has come to this level, as I think it's one of the best pieces of Spider-Man entertainment we have ever seen. It's clearly noticeable that Spider-Man is a passion project for director Brian Intihar and the entire Insomniac team that has worked on it. It's also just the beginning of something amazing for this franchise and also for the studio, as I'm sure Insomniac Games will do justice on its sequels, but it's also a step into showcasing the first ever real Marvel game that's done right, where more can follow for other superheroes. But look, Spider-Man isn't a perfect game, and it has a few hiccups here and there, as I mentioned, but it's surely the greatest Marvel game ever made. Insomniac Games has done an amazing job by making the best Spider-Man game I have ever played, and they have also told a very great story in their unique own way. So at the end of the day, although this game is called Marvel Spider-Man, it's actually Insomniac Spider-Man, as this game is 100% envisioned and crafted by them, which takes everything we know and love about Spidey and present it in a fresh, new, exciting way while really keeping that DNA and respecting the lore. And so by that, this game is just like Spidey himself, spectacular and nothing short of amazing, as Insomniac Games has crafted an amazing game. It's a must-have.
Hi, is this the flight to Newark?
And there you have it, guys. That was my review for Marvel Spider-Man. Hopefully this review was very insightful for you to get a good idea of what the game had to offer and what to expect from it. But my question for you guys is, have you played Spider-Man yet? Or are you planning to get it soon? If so, what are your thoughts on the whole game and how was your experience? Jump into the comment section below and leave me your thoughts. And listen guys, while you're here, why don't you like the video and become a subscriber of my YouTube channel? And that'll do it for me guys. Thanks a lot for being here and thanks a lot for watching. I see you guys in the next one. Excelsior!